It was the summer of 1975, and 18-year-old Susan Ford, shown here standing next to her father, then President Gerald Ford, was coming to live and work in Topeka. This is Tim Rencher, the history guy for CJ Online, talking about how Susan Ford served several weeks as an intern for the nationally known photo staff of the Topeka Capital Journal. Jeff Jacobson, at the time a photographer for the newspaper, recalls how then Capital Journal photo editor Rich Clarkson helped bring Ford to town.
She was interested in photography. Personally, I think she had a little crush on the David Kennerly, who was the White House photographer at the time, and got interested in photography. And Rich Clarkson, the director of photography here, never missed an opportunity to seize upon something. And so she ended up here working as a summer intern.
Here's a photo Ford took at the Topeka Zoo that summer. She started out by shadowing Jacobson on his assignments. The presence of the Secret Service agents who followed Ford proved to be an asset once when she and Jacobson covered a traffic accident on the Sardu Bridge, and a police officer said Jacobson couldn't park on the sidewalk.
And I think I had an old Volkswagen, and I didn't really care, and so I popped it up onto the sidewalk there and just parked it, and the Secret Service bashed their big Lincoln up onto the sidewalk. We hopped out, and a policeman sees us doing this, and he comes over and he goes, hey, you can't park there. And all of a sudden they just whipped out their Secret Service badges, and that was the end of it. That's where the car stayed, and we photographed the deal, and then they actually talked to Susan Ford afterwards and everything like that.
Those Secret Service agents weren't particularly intrusive.
I mean, their job is to stay in the background. They were always around. They were always present. But if she was in the office, they would sit out in the newsroom. If we went somewhere and we were eating, she and I and other photographers would eat together, and they would sit at far tables away just as long as they had good, clean lines and everything like that.
Here's a photo of Ford speaking at a news conference held at the Capital Journal not long after her internship began.
I think it was at the end of that 2-week period of time that they had a morning here where all the media outlets could come, and they came from Washington, the Washington Post, all the Washington television stations. Everybody was here. I think the New York Times had someone here. I did way too many interviews and everything, but it was a lot of fun just to be dealing with all these different national media. And I mean, it just, I think Topeka is great, but it's just one of those deals where Topeka was even greater.
After that, media coverage of Ford's internship decreased considerably. Here's a photo she shot that summer of city employees digging to lay a storm sewer. And here's a photo Ford shot showing a Topeka family in its miniature backyard garden. Local residents tended to feel excited when Ford came to take their picture, and were sometimes disappointed to see another photographer had gotten that assignment. Ford made friends with other young people in Topeka. Jacobson recalls how one night, as she socialized at a bar in the College Hill district, one of her Secret Service agents danced on a table there. He was quickly reassigned. Ford said her least favorite assignment was her last, which was to shoot man-on-the-street photos of people who were asked what they thought of having their picture taken by the president's daughter.
Other than I just had a great time while she was here, I think everyone had a great time she was here, but by the same token, when it was over, it was time for it to be over and time for us to move on, and time to move on for her as her father ran for the presidency. And so it's something I'll always remember, and I like to tell people the stories and different things like that, but I'm glad I had the experience.
Susan Ford went on to attend the University of Kansas, write 2 novels, and become chairwoman of the board for the Betty Ford Center for Alcohol and Drug Abuse. She married Charles Vance, one of her father's former Secret Service agents, in 1979. They divorced in 1988. Ford then married attorney Vaden Bales in 1989. They live in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Topeka will once again play host to a Ford family member when Susan's brother, Steve Ford, serves Saturday as the keynote speaker for the 50th anniversary celebration of Topeka's Vallejo Behavioral Health Care. This is Tim Rencher, the history guy for CJ Online.